Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with First UMC. And today I am so happy to be joined by Linda Kennedy.
Yep.
Thanks for being here, Linda.
I'm enjoying it.
The reason why Linda is here is because I chose her recipe from our First UMC cookbook. If you have this cookbook, turn to page 207, and Linda put in the recipe called stuffed shells. So here's what we're gonna need. You will need 1 large pack of jumbo pasta shells. Please note I had to substitute with manicotti shells because they did not have the stuffed shells due to food shortages. So make it your own. For the tomato sauce, you can use, and this is optional, you can have 1 pound of ground hamburger. You will need a 1/2 cup of chopped or minced onion, 1/4 teaspoon garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon pepper, and a large can of tomato sauce. Now on to the best part of it, the cheese stuffing. You will need a pound of ricotta cheese, a 1/2 cup of Romano cheese, 2 eggs, and 2 cups of mozzarella cheese, and then 1 tablespoon of parsley flakes, and a 1/2 teaspoon of seasoning salt, and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to get the pasta and the tomato sauce going, and I'm going to have Linda walk me through all of the steps as we do this. So she's going to be calling the shots. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. So we are here at our stove. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start turning on the water for my pasta. Did I get the right one? I did. And then over here, I'm going to start heating up my pan for my hamburger. But Linda, while we were setting things up, she gave me a nice little tip that she does at home. Linda, would you like to tell me what to do?
I usually start my hamburger first and get that cooking. And as that's cooking, I use a saucepan and put the tomato sauce in and then add the seasonings that go in it. And then that gets them warmed up and started. And it kind of gets the flavors mixing around.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
then I throw the hamburger in with the sauce and stir it up.
Okay.
So
All right.
That's kind of my plan. You know?
I'll do that.
The recipe isn't real specific.
Well, isn't that what a recipe is? It's just a guideline,
True.
right?
True.
It's just a guideline. Did I do the right? Oh, nope. Okay. So we'll get that going right here. And then I'll put my hamburger in. Okay. Now, Linda,
Yes.
do you put your seasoning in? So you put your seasoning in the sauce, not in the hamburger.
I do.
Okay. What about your onions?
The onions I usually put in the sauce too.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Okay.
I don't think it matters. I think if anyone prefers to fry the onions with the hamburger, that's fine
That's
too.
fine.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do it your way because this is your recipe.
Well, the funny part is it really isn't my recipe.
Oh?
True. Years ago, I worked in a doctor's office, and we'd have potlucks off and on, and somebody brought these stuffed shells, and oh my gosh, I just loved them. And I said to the gal, I said, hey, please, would you put, I've got to have a recipe. These are so good. Well, she started laughing, and I couldn't understand why she was laughing because it didn't seem that funny of a question.
Well, yeah.
And so I paused a minute, and she stopped laughing, and she said, yeah, it's on the box. So I can't take full credit for the recipe because
It's on the box.
on the box.
It's on the box. That's really funny.
Yeah.
But you know it's a good recipe when people comment.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Like, I love it when I go through the recipes with my mom, and I can tell when she got the recipe off the box, or like with chocolate chips, you get them off the, right?
Wrapper.
Yeah, and there's cardboard right there. But my grandma has, we do my grandma's recipe for chocolate chips. So that's what we do today. I'm going to grab, thank you. Now I want to start adding the seasoning to the sauce, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, Linda, can we also take a moment to just look at that? I love it.
This is my recipe from home. As you can see, it's been loved well and used well on both sides. And so every once in a while I have to reprint my recipes so I can read them again.
I understand.
This is close.
This is closer. Okay, So do you put the onion in?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put the onion in. Half a cup of onion. I chose to do chopped because I like the way chopped onion brings flavor instead of minced onion.
Yeah.
But again, you do whatever you want.
And I'll add too, I know some families, children don't like onions.
Yep.
And you can easily use the equivalent of onion powder or onion salt.
Got
and
it.
And it doesn't change the flavor.
Okay.
It's still just as flavorful, and you bypass the onions for the little ones that don't like it. Or
They would appreciate
maybe there's
that.
big ones that don't like them too.
I do. So how much garlic powder do I put
1/4
in?
teaspoon of garlic powder.
Okay. There's that. Okay. And then
Half a teaspoon of salt.
half a teaspoon of salt. Okay.
And 1/4 teaspoon of pepper.
Ooh.
And I've kind of learned over the years too that, if you're a person who likes a little more garlic, or
Yeah.
a little less salt or whatever, you can kind of alter it to how your favorite way goes.
Yep. Make it how you want it.
Exactly.
Okay. Then we just let that simmer.
Yes.
Okay.
And that can simmer for a good while.
Okay.
However long you need it to until your hamburger gets done and you're ready to throw it in.
Ready to throw it in? Okay. So while this is finishing up, I think what I'll have you guys do is you head on over and start working on the cheese stuffing.
All right.
Okay.
For the cheese stuffing, we'll start with 1 pound of the ricotta cheese, and this container was, again, limited groceries, so we'll go with about half of this, as we can dig it out. And if you're fortunate enough to get, when you buy the groceries for this item, if you're fortunate enough to be able to find the right sizes, you can just find the 1 pound of ricotta cheese, and that will just be the full container, and that works really well. And then you need 1/2 cup of Romano. This is the shredded. Two eggs. Okay, and 2 cups of mozzarella cheese. And the recipe actually calls for a cup that you save and sprinkle it over the top of the shells when you get ready to bake them. But I have to be honest and tell you that quite frequently I dump it all in and forget about that 1 cup. So mine usually go with the full package. So that's what we'll use, because I don't want you to think I'm making it special just for you all. So anyway, we need a cup of the parsley, or a tablespoon of the parsley flakes, and I just go with a full one. So we're good there. And half a teaspoon of the seasoned salt. Again, you can be, fairly generous with your measure if you like that. If you don't, then stick right to it. And a half a teaspoon of the pepper. Go from there. And then you just get to mix it up. Sometimes it helps a little bit if you have your Romano, or your ricotta, if your ricotta is out of the fridge for a little while, because when it's so cold, it kind of fights you when you're getting it all stirred up. But otherwise, you just keep after it.
So the next step is to put our noodles into the water, and all you need to do is follow the instructions that's on the box. So for these, I need to boil them for 7 minutes, and I'll stir occasionally. So I will go ahead and dump. I'm going to do 2 boxes in the recipe. If you are able to use the jumbo shells, you only need to do 1 12-ounce box. But because I had to substitute, this is only 8 ounces, so I'm just going to go ahead and do 2 of these boxes, so we can make sure we have plenty of noodles. Just gonna grab the other one. Here, I'll sneak behind you.
Just continue to stir it and make sure that your eggs are all mixed up and your colors are even, not lots of white spots and not lots of yellow spots. And pretty soon it just sort of turns into sort of a creamy conglomeration.
I'm ready to put this on some crackers.
Right? No.
Well, the truth is, it's even better hot.
Okay, so next thing we're doing while the noodles are baking, the cheese stuffing is whipped up. I think it's time to drain the meat, so I'm going to do that. And then Linda's going to tell me if she puts the meat in the sauce or the sauce in the meat. So let me drain this.
It's really not a fine science.
Everyone has their own way. You just don't know. So now, Linda.
I usually put the meat in with the
Okay,
sauce.
that's what we'll do. And then do you get that to boil or do you just let it simmer?
I get it back to a simmer, and then about the same time then the shells are usually done.
Okay.
And then you drain those as well. Most often they're pretty warm, so you might want to wait a few minutes. But yeah, if you just make sure that everything is mixed up and it's all hot again, you're in good shape.
Okay. Oops. Okay. All right, so the noodles are getting to be close to being all the way done. So I'm going to go ahead and take them off because I want them to be a little al dente since they still have to cook in the oven for about 30 minutes. So I'm going to turn this off, carry this over here, wish me luck, and then we'll just dump this in slowly. Okay, ready? Sliding on me. People underestimate how hot the steam is from these things. Ooh, okay, I'm not gonna rinse them. Do you rinse your noodles? No. Okay, I'm not gonna rinse them, so I will let them cool off because Linda and I have to touch them with their hands just for a little bit. So we'll let those kind of cool down. Set that there. That's still simmering. It's getting close to being done though. Looks delicious. Okay, so we are ready to start stuffing the shells. So, Linda, what is the first step?
Well, typically what I do, if you care to, you can spray your pans. That's fine too. Because it's liquid, it usually doesn't need much. I usually start with a spoon or two of sauce in the bottom of the pan.
Okay.
And that works really well. Okay. But I don't put it on real thick.
Like
I
that?
usually, yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. Well, just enough so it kind of has something on the bottom of the pan. Yeah.
There you go.
Because you still want to have stuff to pour over it too.
Right. Do you want to spread it out?
Yeah. We're good.
Okay.
Okay. Then the next part would be to start stuffing the shells.
Okay.
Now, again,
Move that out
we
of the
have
way.
this substitute for the stuffed shells. And typically with the stuffed shells, I'll just pick them up, lay them on my hand, and of course, you have to open them up because they're a shell. And so I use a spoon and just open it up and start putting it in. So we're going to do the same thing.
Don't you laugh at me. It's going to be just
Well,
fine.
it's gonna be fun. That's gonna be.
Might take a little bit. Actually, I don't want to go like that. See, if I was thinking, I would have got piping bags.
Oh, that would be okay too. With the stuffed shells, I typically use just a food teaspoon,
There we go.
and I garner up a pretty big chunk, a heaping, and
Yeah.
pop it right in the shell, and then
Oh,
close the shell right on the top of it. So it's it's not a masterful job.
How often did you make this for your family?
Well, lots of times when everybody was home. Now it's just my husband and I. So
Yeah.
that kind of changes things.
Does he
But-
like it? This recipe though?
My whole family loves this recipe.
Yes.
My Girl Scouts love this recipe.
Yep.
We've had a fun few years with the girls being older. We've taken turns letting them choose the menu, and then they come
Oh,
to my
that's
house.
fun.
They come to my house and they prepare our meal, and so we actually have a meal together, and then have our meeting, and that's I think that's been one really big thing that the girls have enjoyed. And you know, it's like church and potlucks and
Oh, yeah.
families that get together. You bond over food.
You
know?
really do. I mean, food is just, it is the best. I love all things food.
Yeah.
Okay, we are done stuffing our shells. So, Linda, step 3.
Just continue to ladle the sauce on top of the of your shells, or in our case, of the manicotti tubes. We got 2 pans. I'm gonna give you some so we can make sure we've got enough for both.
Now, this recipe would be very easy to double.
Easily.
Which is really nice, especially if you're trying to plan ahead. You can make one for dinner and then freeze one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or if your family isn't as large, this would work really well in the 8x8
Oh.
baking dishes or foil pans or
Right.
whatever.
There you go.
That would be really good too. And
That would work.
then again, you'll use about a cup of the mozzarella on the top.
Yay.
So you've got an extra cup of mozzarella on each one.
Oh yeah. Cheesier the better. All right, so we are done covering with sauce and cheese. So what do we put the oven at?
Your oven needs to be at 350.
Okay.
And it's probably a good idea to start that up sooner so it's good and hot when you're
Yep.
ready with the food.
Good.
And that'll bake for about 30 minutes. You want to make sure that the cheese is melty and that your sauce is hot and bubbly.
Okay, so let's go ahead and slide these in. Luckily with these nice big ovens, we can fit both in there. Here we go. Okay, and we will bake these for 30 minutes.
Yes.
Perfect. We'll see you in 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes is up, so it's time to take them out of the oven. I cannot wait to see what they look like. They smell delicious. We can smell it throughout the whole church. Here we go. Man. Okay, and here we have our stuffed shells. Now, I would recommend eating these with some garlic bread. So we are finished for the day, but last thing is last. We have to clean up our mess. So Linda, I want to thank you so much for coming and being here with me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
And I can't wait to make this recipe at home. I know that you are going to be taking what we made today to someone. As also, I would like you to know, Linda is part of this new cooking ministry that we have here. So thank you for doing that. I know that that has been a blessing to a lot of the families that we have served.
It has also been a blessing to myself, and I'm hoping for the other women that have done the cooking, because they've really just been so appreciative, and it's been a wonderful thing. We 1 week we had extra, and I chose a family that wasn't on the list, and they were just floored and so
Yeah.
grateful, and after that said, you know what, well, I want to know more about this because I could be a part of this ministry.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
That's really neat.
Yeah, and so I gave you their name.
Yes, you did.
And that was fun. But yeah, it's been good, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next month.